What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
This is our spoiler chat for episode 2 of Halo. We weren't big fans of the first one, but have we changed our minds already? We get Nerdy Nightly?
And we thought we'd share it with you.
That is right. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about episode 2, season 1, Halo, the TV show, 2022 edition. Clarus, how are you feeling about episode 2 now?
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like I don't have a ton to say about it because, like, episode 1 was like, ooh, and episode 2 is like, oh, like, this is, like, all right. But, like, nothing was special. Nothing, like, stood out to me, really. I thought Soren was really good.
Bokeem Woodbine as Soren 066.
Yeah.
Slightly different version of that character, but similar take.
Than the game?
Yeah, in the game, or no, in the books. I don't know if Soren's actually in any of the games off the top of my head.
Okay.
But in the book, Soren passes, but then he is his arm is because of the mutations. It's not like an accident. Like, it is like the mutations that they go through causes his arm to mutate, and because of that he can't wear armor. The Mjolnir armor, and so he doesn't become an active duty Spartan. But what's actually interesting, the difference here between this version of Soren and the book Soren is that Soren is he is the one Spartan who signs up for the program. Whereas all the other Spartans are kind of like kidnapped from their families. And so when he gets to the end of the program and then can't wear the armor because of his arm mutation, he is then I'm trying to like remember a book I read years ago. He's actually like really disappointed. And so he gets like desk duty, and some of the Spartans who flunk out, who don't die through the augmentations, but just don't pass them and don't end up as Spartans, end up in different places within the UNSC. And he's one of them. And then he ends up running away because of that later. So this is just it's a similar origin to the character in that he does end up running away and defecting from the UNSC in a way. But this was a different version of that. And I like the way that this was handled. It influenced John 117's character and gave us an arc. And, I was a little bit harsh, I think, last week in terms of the plotline of Quan Ha and not wanting this character on the show. Because I was like, I do not want to see her and John 117 go on this adventure together where they're fighting.
But, like, that's fair.
Right. But then at the end of this episode, I felt like what this episode did really well, and I want to commend them, is everything made sense this week. I thought the like A to B to C of this week, I actually thought was really solid.
Yeah.
Everything made sense to me. The characters all behaved in very rational ways. The way that Halsey was manipulating different characters, particularly Parangoski, I thought that was all really interesting and like character driven in a way that I liked.
Yeah, fair.
And John made the decision to leave Quan Ha with the responsible adults who could take care of her.
Yeah.
When he was not in a place to take her on the crazy action adventure. And there's a part of me that's like, I know that this girl is going to be important to the rest of the show. There's no way they would spend this time if she wasn't.
For sure. But he made the right choice.
John acted like an adult.
Yeah.
And I liked it.
No, I think that's fair. I have a question about the numbers.
Yes.
Is that the order? Like, is number 1 the first Spartan, and then like number 2 is like the second one? Like, because my thing is that Soren is like 6'6".
066.
Yeah, which means that he's like almost double the amount of Spartans later. John came along.
Well, but they're brought in classes, so they're not like brought in one at a time. Like they're raised together, and
so there
a
were
lot
like
of
60 of them.
No, there were way more. And a lot of the kids died.
Okay, so the number doesn't actually... I was just curious because I was like, did they start off with an earlier version of Spartans and like every like couple of people they have like a different version of like what they do to them?
So yes, but so John, Soren, and then I think it's Kai, Vanek, and and Riz. They're Mark II Spartans. So there was a Mark I Spartan program before them, and then in the lore now, I think they're up to Mark IV Spartans in the books. Okay. There's definitely Mark III. There might not be a Mark IV. I might have made that up. Okay. But so Soren and John are in the same class, which had a bunch of kids that were all brought in together, and then the vast majority of those kids are phased out.
Yeah.
So only, I think like a sixth of them maybe become Spartans.
Okay.
But they lose their last names when they're kidnapped from their parents, and then they're given the number.
Yeah, I just wondered if the like number was like significant in like how they had been developed. I was just curious.
It's just it is in place of a last name.
Cool. Okay.
So yeah.
Gotcha. All right, that's fair.
But no, John and Soren are in the same like training class.
Gotcha. That makes more sense because I was like, was because he was an earlier number? Is that why he had the mutation? Because they were trying something and then it didn't work. I was just curious because I thought maybe it meant something. But yeah, everyone like actually like seemed to behave like a logical thinking adult.
This episode really felt like they made a pilot. They showed the pilot, and then they were given a little bit more time to get the rest of the series going. Yeah. And episode 2 just felt more together. Like, I wish there had been something to do some action in this. But for the most part, I really liked the concept of the rubble. I thought that the way it was visualized was interesting. It looked... The one thing that looked a little wonky to me was the cart looked a little bit like it was from the Super Mario Brothers movie, but like lit better.
Oh, wow, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I really liked it. I thought the concepts that they brought up, the what's going on Madrigal, and like how that might be important to the rest of the show. You know what they justified for me in a way that I didn't know they were going to be able to so quickly is why there's a human with the Covenant. Because I was like, I wasn't on board with that in episode 1.
I still don't get it.
But they need a blessed one who can touch the ring, who can touch the artifacts and make them light up. And if none of the Covenant are blessed ones, and they have, because technically, like, the Forerunners, there's all these concepts about, like, the Forerunners built all this technology, and then the Covenant want to use Forerunner technology to, like, go on the Great Journey, which is their, like, end of life kind of, like, biblical and kind of idea within their religion. And so they need to use the Forerunner technology, which means they need Reclaimers, which are the humans. And so the Blessed One is a Reclaimer to them who can activate the ring to kill off everybody. But
it can only be a human?
Only certain people, apparently. And so if they...
But only humans or any, like, species?
Within the show, it seems like that right now. Okay. It doesn't seem like there are any Blessed Ones among the Covenant.
And does there end up being a reason for that?
This is not a thing in the games.
Okay.
This seems to be a story that they have developed for the shows, which allows them to have an enemy. And here's why they did it. I can almost guarantee this is why they did it. They needed to have action sequences that didn't cost $1 billion.
Yeah.
And so having an action sequence with a human woman who can do things without CGI was important to the show.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see now if she's going to be a physical match for John, if she has been, like, augmented somehow.
She had these, like, interesting scars on her back, for sure. And she did say that he, like,
when
saved
she got naked, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, she just fully undressed. I was like, okay, that was interesting.
We're doing nudity. Like, there was like some Arya Stark level side boob there.
Yeah, oh, for sure. The one thing that I don't get is why they need John. If she can light up the ring, why do they
don't need John?
Oh. The
Covenant don't need John. The UNSC needs John.
Oh, they just seem very interested in John, but...
He's their, like, greatest enemy. Like, that's why they call him Demon, is that he is the epitome of evil to them. Because he is the most dangerous human in the galaxy in this war. John 117 kills more Covenant than, like, the rest of the army combined.
Okay.
He's just so lethal, and he takes to the Spartan program better than anyone else. And so that's why he becomes the leader of the Spartans, and in some ways. And
right.
Honestly, it's one of those things where, like, I don't know what's going on in this timeline. Like, that might not be true in the same way. But in the games, the number of Covenant you kill in that series is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Soren's wife, really interesting. I liked that they took the pill. They kept calling it a pellet, which I thought was weird. But because I think of pellets as what you feed hamsters.
Yeah.
I've never thought of, like, a pellet being, like, internal. Anyway, not important. That they took the pellet out and he can have kids.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't think Spartans can have kids. I don't think that's... But yeah, apparently they can.
Yeah, you just gotta... yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was... the one thing that stood out to me as, like, a little bit strange was you would think that Soren would be kind of wary of, like, I don't know, drugs, enhancements, those kinds of things. And then they take, like, a puff out of this, like, mask thingy.
Oh yeah, they do the drugs, the clarity.
Clarity, yeah. I was like, I don't know. You think he would, like, of all people, would be like a little bit suspicious about what happens to his body? Like,
I don't know. That's like saying that like because you had a weird childhood, you are wary of marijuana. Like it doesn't seem like they were like tripping hard.
No.
Because
the Spartans are like treated, right? They're treated with like whatever the pellets. They like aren't they like?
Yeah, but that's against their control. I think that
talks about the thing that like numbs them.
I think it's the difference between control or it's choice. I think that him deciding to put something in his body versus someone else putting something in his body. I think that's the whole concept behind the rubble, right? Is he wants a place where he chooses what goes in his body. If he's going to be numbed, it's going to be by something he chooses. It's not so much about the numbing or the drug or that. It's really about the choice for him.
Okay.
Which is why it is so weird, because we're going to get to it, that they go to like the mental hospital of the rubble, and he's like, no, it's they like it here.
Well, yeah, because they're not locked up. They're just doors. Like, they're just, like, cages, but, like, don't have locks on them.
But, yeah, because he just opens it.
He just opens it. Like,
that sequence was
open.
A little uncomfy for me.
It was
It was
weird.
not my favorite part of the episode.
No, it felt like a little, like, these are all the, like, crazy people stereotypes. Like, the dog that, like, barked at them. I was like...
Yeah. And then Padden Fein shows up.
Yeah.
If you are here from our Wheel of Time videos, Padden Fein is in this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know that actor's name off the top of my head, and he's not listed on the IMDb, which I think is very funny.
I guess he's only in that thing, but yeah.
Well, no, this is the episode that he's in.
Oh.
They have not updated the IMDb to add him in here.
Oh, I think you have to press all casting crew. Maybe then he'll, like, show up.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, there is. Johann Myers. Very, very talented man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Padden Fein shows up to play Padden Fein. Weirdly. But Padden Fein, the book Faldara Padden Fein that we're not going to get on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
really weird.
Very odd. For you Wheel of Time people, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah. But yeah, Reth shows up and he knows the plot of Halo.
Yeah, because he's been on a Covenant ship. So I guess the Covenant, and that's why I thought they needed John, because the Covenant has like taken humans to see if they can like connect to the ring thing.
Which is how they got that girl, I'm assuming.
I guess that is how. Okay, maybe they found the one that they needed, I guess.
I'm assuming, because she says in that meeting, she says, can he activate the arc? When they're talking about the elite, and she's like, can he activate the things like I can?
Yeah.
And it was like, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that she has the same ability that John has to interface with the Forerunner technology.
Yeah, it just was weird to me. It like, because... I don't know how long ago he was on a Covenant ship. That's never really specified, but for some reason, I guess in my head, I was like probably fairly like recently, and I was like they are looking for people who can do those things.
My thing with that is that one of the best moments in Halo, the first Halo game, is when you find out that the ring is a weapon, and it's on the ring after they've already kind of started the process. And it's like shocking. They're like, oh, wait, oh, crap. This is we're about to destroy everything. We're on the weapon. And so the difference in the show by having that reveal happen before we've seen the ring feels a little bit weird to me.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit like you've robbed yourself as storytellers of, I don't know, I suddenly switched to talking to the people who wrote this. But it feels like they robbed themselves of the reveal for the show.
What do you mean the ring?
The Halo.
What do you mean?
Right. See, this is the problem with the show Halo, is that there's no Halo in it. So Halo is the reference to the rings in space. I can't believe I have to explain this in episode 2 of the Halo show. If you've never played the games, why would you know this? Halo would mean nothing to you. That's
I
so
just thought
weird.
it was called Halo.
Yeah, no. So Halo it's a reference to the rings that are these giant rings in space that's where the games take place. You're on the rings. They're giant Forerunner structures that are, if they're activated, they destroy all life in the universe. And so the reason that the Forerunners created the Halos was to stop the Flood, which are this parasitic race of aliens that will, take over bodies, right?
I do remember you telling me about that.
The Halos are designed to destroy the Flood. The Covenant have misinterpreted that to believe that the destruction that the Halos bring is their Armageddon, their like final salvation within their religion. And so they're trying to activate the Halos for their like, it's their like drinking the Kool-Aid moment in terms of their cult, right?
Yes.
They want to all die when the halos go off so that they can go on to the Great Journey. So the humans have to stop the Covenant from activating the halos, destroying all life in the universe.
Okay,
because it will destroy all the humans in the universe.
Okay, okay, yeah.
So the halos are the rings.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird. I wonder if like the end of season 1 is them getting to a halo.
Maybe.
It would be weird if we're not fighting Spartan, or if Spartans and Covenant don't fight each other on a halo in this. But like honestly, like Reach hasn't fallen yet. So it's super weak. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's so tough. Because it seems like this season should lead up to the fall of Reach, which is like arguably the most important moment before the Halo games begin, which is what the book Fall of Reach is about. And if you want to read a Halo book, that's the one to start with. It gets into all the Spartan backstory. It is the best Halo book to this day. In my opinion, it's still so good. The Fall of Reach is excellent. But
is the Reach where
the Reach is the human? Yeah, that's the human planet.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's a planet.
Yeah, Reach is the
figured it was just like a space
military home world of the UNSC.
Cool. Yeah. Interesting.
And so Fall of Reach is like the first like big intergalactic battle with the Covenant. Because up until now they've just been Glassine planets, which they actually referenced in this episode. They finally referenced Glassine a planet, which they hadn't. It seemed like in last week's spoiler chat, I complained that I was like, oh, do the Covenant not glass planets? Are they just like sending a couple people down and killing humans? No, they do. They glass planets now, which is really interesting.
I don't understand why they would turn it to glass, though. Like, I don't understand why.
It's basically the same concept as Star Wars, just as like the Empire destroying planets. Like, it is just utter destruction from space.
Turn it to.
Basically, what happens is the plasma. They just rain so much plasma down from space
that it turns
that the surface becomes like, I think that it's reflective, which is why they call it glassing. But yeah, they basically make the planet unlivable. They salt the earth, destroying everything on the planet.
For fun?
No. They're at war. Like that's what the Covenant do to the human planets.
Oh. Okay,
yeah, they're literally just going around destroy. Yeah, and that's why the Fall of Reach is such a bleak book, because throughout the book you're learning that like planets are being obliterated and humans don't know how to stop them. Yeah. And it isn't until the Fall of Reach where humans starts to fight back, and then which leads to Halo, and the real human resistance against the Covenant doesn't begin until the first Halo when John 1 and 7 gets there.
Interesting.
It's bleak. It's like a very adult story, but it is such a good book for a video game tie-in. And that's what I will say. The Halo books, considering they are video game tie-ins, are so high quality.
Yeah, well, like, it's weird, right? I don't know what it says about the show, but like I'm more interested in talking about like this stuff with you.
Well, but I think that's
where we're only episode 2.
I think that's where this is going. I think that I don't think we're gonna get to a ring in season 1 because it's only 9 episodes. Okay. I feel like the Fall of Reach is where we're headed. And sorry if that's a spoiler for the show. I'm not trying to like spoil the show for you. The book is called The Fall of Reach.
Yeah, that is like that is a literal like.
But it'll go differently because there are different Spartans. John's team is made up of different Spartans in this.
Oh, and it's a different timeline, so it really could be anything, right?
Yeah. How did you feel about John's decision to go back to Halsey?
It made sense. I figured that's exactly where he was heading because he didn't know what the hell he was doing.
But also, it's a weapon that can destroy the galaxy. Like, once you hear that, you're like,
what the hell is he gonna do? Yeah. If the Covenant shows up, he's by himself. Like that's complicated. I was going to say the safest place for it is like, with a bunch of people protecting it, but I don't trust Halsey, so.
Halsey is tough because she is not a good person, but sometimes in an incredibly awful situation, you need a not great person to get the job done. Yeah. And that's one of the delightfully complicated things about the Halo storyline in the games. Guys, I love Halo. I don't know if you know this. I really this is one of my favorite lores in all of fandoms. I think that Halo has one of the coolest universal lores ever created. Mm-hmm. Halsey is the worst, best solution to the problems that the humans are facing. And as more people realize they cannot trust her, more people rely on her to save their lives. And so it is a really deep and complicated story about a woman who is so smart at a time when they need military brilliance that they cannot just lock her up and throw away the key. Yeah. But a lot of people really want to because they know that at the end of the day, they cannot trust her.
Yeah.
but they keep working with her. And it creates this like really fascinating character that has kind of developed. And as Cortana has got more complicated and Halsey's got more complicated, the way that John gets pulled between those two and how the whole UNSC gets pulled between those two is just... It's why I had so much hope for the show, and why I'm glad that episode 2 was such a step forward storytelling-wise from episode 1.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if we can get into that deep stuff, Halo is brilliant.
Yeah.
If we can get to the real emotional and thematic storytelling that Halo gets into in the books and games, and we can bring that to a TV show, this could be one of the great sci-fi TV shows.
Yeah.
It really can. Halo has the lore to pull that off. I think they need to like get past a couple of like the missteps of the pilot that are still left. And they need to get into like the actual storytelling of this universe, get to the Fall of Reach, get to the rings, get to the action a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like this was a huge step in the right direction, and Bakeem Woodbine is a big part of that. I hope he's in a lot more.
Yeah, me too. I quite enjoyed him.
Yeah.
So in terms of Cortana, the way they've explained how it works in the show,
I have no idea.
Okay, I was just...
Yeah. Please ask your question, but I'm going to tell you before you even ask your question, I have no idea.
Okay, because I was like, oh, it's going to be an instance where Cortana doesn't work the way they want it to. Because the way they explain Cortana in this show is not how Cortana functions in the game, correct?
Correct. That's why I have no idea.
Okay, I was like...
I'm curious, how do you think she functions in the game?
In the game, it seems like she's...
You've played an hour.
Yeah, she's like your AI friend. Like she is a computer. She doesn't have like a physical form, right? But she exists. She is an AI, but not one that like takes over your consciousness and makes you submissive and like part of a hive mind, and just is able to provide information and help you on your journey.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the overriding is weird. Because in the games, the purpose of Cortana is actually to provide like tactical analysis for the Spartans. While acknowledging that like Spartan reflexes are why they advance through the program. Like they are they are men and women who are so trained and so able in combat that they don't really need to be improved in that way, but they don't know a lot because they're so sheltered.
Yeah.
And so what the AI brings to the table is the like tactical knowledge.
Yeah,
and like locations and like, maps and
can calculate anything to a T.
And can like break in anywhere, right? Like it basically is like R2D2 sticking his little robot dick in the little hole vagina.
The twisty hole,
yeah, the twisty hole.
Gotcha.
You know, it's that same concept, but yeah, it's not supposed to be like their person. Yeah, I don't know why Cortana has a body.
Yeah, that was confusing. Here's the problem. That body, I don't think that's actually Cortana, because they said Cortana had to be created through cloning, through something to do with cloning technology. So I don't actually think that is Cortana. I think that's a clone that is...
It looks like a clone of Halsey.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It looks like a clone of Halsey, so I don't think that is actually Cortana. I think that is the clone that Halsey had to make in order to create Cortana.
Yes, but I'm assuming that Cortana is going to have like physical control of that body and be able to move.
Well, because
otherwise, why would you?
The weird thing to me is that it looks to me like Halsey. Yes. However, Cortana has an IMDb character.
Cortana is being played by the voice actress from the games.
Yeah.
Cortana is being played by her original voice actress, which is very cool.
Yeah, but that just makes me think that body that's in the vessel thing is not Cortana. It is the like leftovers that Halsey had to make a thing, had to clone.
I don't know. They also look really similar.
They do kind of.
Like if you look at Jen Taylor and then you look at oh my God, where is she? Natasha McElhone. They look similar.
You're right.
So I think that is just two white girls.
And that's the problem
who just
is I can't tell because they do look very similar.
Well, one isn't moving and his eyes closed and is shaved.
Yeah,
so it's like, they're different. Yeah, the lack of hair makes them different enough.
Yeah.
But no, I'm assuming that is going to be Jen Taylor as Cortana, who has a body, but will also be in Chief's helmet.
Very confused. Don't know where that's going.
Here's what I think is going to happen. I think that they're going to say, for the sake of the UNSC government, that Cortana's in control, but that is going to be a ruse that Cortana and John have to pull off. Like, Halsey's going to be like, you guys have to pretend like Cortana's in control or else you have to go to jail.
Yeah.
And so Cortana and Chief are going to have to, like, play that she's in charge, which I think could actually be fun.
Yeah.
When they're among UNSC, and then when they're out in the field, obviously it doesn't matter.
Yeah. That could be interesting.
That's 25 minutes on the episode, so I think that we should probably end it there.
Yeah.
Chief is back with UNSC already, so that was a little detour.
Yeah.
But a sensical one that introduced Soren in a way I really liked.
Yeah. It all made sense. Whereas last week we were like, what the hell were people thinking? I'm glad we're here.
Yes. I'm very glad we're here too.
Yeah.
I'm also really hoping for some action next week.
Yeah.
That isn't just Chief throwing Pat and Fein up against the wall.
Yes. Absolutely.
If you like this video, like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't, that's fine. Hit the dislike button. Leave mean comments down below. The algorithm god is hungry, and we must feed her. As always, you can follow us around the internet. I am at Nerdy Nightly.
I'm at Claris Polaris.
Yes, she is. Go follow her. She's a much better follower than I am. And as always, y'all, do something nerdy tonight.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.